Pro-abortion groups like Planned Parenthood claim that they are advocating for the well-being of women. But since the Dobbs decision returned the matter of abortion to elected representatives, they've been pushing hard for chemical abortions through the mail, despite the profound danger such poorly supervised medical care poses to women's health. But perhaps more concerning is what the FDA is doing or not doing to protect women. Joining me to discuss this and more is Congressman Michael Burgess. He is a member of the House Doctors Caucus and the Committee on Energy and Commerce, among other committees. He represents the 26th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Burgess, welcome back to the program.
Tony, thanks for having me on. I appreciate being with you.
Well, earlier this morning, Politico published a report citing an anonymous FDA spokesperson who said the FDA itself is concerned about the advanced prescription of the so-called morning after pill, RU486. They're saying even if you're not pregnant, but you're going someplace where abortion might be restricted, go ahead and buy this in advance, have it in your possession. That runs counter to good health practices, does it not?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And my read this morning of what the FDA put out was that pre-prescription was not allowed. And let's bear in mind that the RU486, the compound in question, is not really a morning after pill. It's an abortifacient. It is to end a pregnancy that has already been established. And that is not without potential complications. The timing of its taking is something that must be done under significant professional control and should not just be out there as something, hey, in case of fire, break glass. Look, use as intended, these medications are going to be lethal at least to one half of the participants in the equation.
Well, I mean, it could, yeah, certainly, but it could be deadly for the women who take it. The reason medical supervision is necessary, you could have ectopic pregnancies where that would not be detected. That could lead to serious health complications for a woman if she takes this.
No question about it. And of course, the timing in a pregnancy is important. And if it is just out there for someone, here, take this because it will solve your problem, when the problem, in fact, will not only be not solved, but it will be made manifestly many times worse. This is not a good idea. And these are potent medicines that need to be under the reason they're prescribed by a physician is just exactly that. They are potent medicines that have the potential for severe side effects.
There's also a range at which these can be used. It is within 70 days, up to 70 days of pregnancy. Beyond that, it becomes a very significant health complication for the mother. But if someone just has this in their possession, no guidance from medical personnel, a doctor, I mean, how are they going to know what to do?
They're not. And that's the danger is, oh, don't worry, I have some of these that I got ahead of time and you can use them and it will solve your problem. And you're exactly right. If you're beyond that period of time where it is at least less dangerous to take it, then the consequences can be dire. I just can't say it strongly enough. This is a medication that should be under the control of a physician, prescribed by a physician. My opinion, it should not be something amenable to telemedicine or something that is prescribed over the phone, but it does require a face-to-face visit with a physician.
Yeah, and to your point, to be very clear on this, it is not without risk at any point, and it has complications for women all through the process. And as you said, there is at least one person that doesn't survive this at all. That is the unborn child. The FDA says, as I mentioned at the top of this, that this is being prescribed in a way that is incompatible with their regulations, but they opened the door to this. They opened the door to these drugs being sent by mail with very little, if any, supervision. So what's the plan here? Is this something that we may see the next Congress asking the FDA about, or whether or not they're going to change their regulations to shut the door on this?
I think that's a reasonable assumption. look, any physician can prescribe any medication off label. I mean, that is something that occurs every day of the week. But the FDA needs to be absolutely crystal clear about its recommendations here, what is permitted, what is not permitted. And I got to tell you, there is a medical liability component here. If you practice outside what the FDA's recommendations are, someone has a dreadful problem, there is very likely to be litigation as a consequence. And to tell you the truth, it's very likely to be successful litigation because FDA guidelines were not followed.
So that's a really good point, a very interesting point, Dr. Burgess, because if you, Planned Parenthood, among others, are providing these, pushing these through the mail. Are they opening themselves up to liability if a woman takes this at the wrong time, in the wrong way? Would they be liable?
I would think so. Now, I have no earthly idea what sort of consent forms that they require before someone is sent the medication. But yeah, that's a real risk for anyone who practices in that space. We all recognize that defensive medicine is part and parcel of what we do every day.
Well, maybe some attorneys need to be looking at this practice of Planned Parenthood and getting ready to take them to court over the health complications that are sure to follow using this outside the FDA guidelines.
Well, it's just, for just general consumption for people, it's never a good idea. I'll just tell you, something I would not prescribe, but it must be done under a physician's direction. The complications are significant, and they can be lifelong or life-ending. So people need to take this absolutely seriously. It's not something to be taken with minimal intent. It is a serious complication.
Well, and we hope that the feet of the FDA will be held to account for this under the new Congress. Dr. Burgess, always great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good to see you, Tony. Thank you.